Good morning, good evening, everyone. This is Luda Kopikina with GAI Insights, and happy Friday. So welcome to AI News, where we rate the news essential, important, and optional to save you time and identify great trends that might be helpful to you in your implementations. Today we have John, me, and Lucinda as our special guests for today. Lucinda is a senior analyst at Ironside, an IT consulting firm in Boston, and she has usually a great perspective. So welcome, Lucinda.
Thank you. So nice to be here.
Great. So let's start with the first article, Ankash.
Thanks, Luda. So the first one that we have for today comes from OpenAI and Apple. So ChatGPT is now involved in Apple Intelligence.
Okay, for some reason I can show. Here we go. Yes, John, what did you think about it? This is a 12-day run for OpenAI.
And I thought this thing was essential. I absolutely hate the format. I have to watch these knuckleheads talk to each other in ugly sweaters, but, give me some text. But I didn't have time to feed it to a robot. But look, what they're talking about is super important. The notion that it's available now. I just downloaded it this morning, or get access to it this morning, and haven't been able to get it to work the way they have it in here yet. But the idea that Siri and Apple Intelligence is there, and I think this one, and also the integrated video, this is critical, right? You can take your phone, and there's in the video integration, which is day 6. You can just show it a picture of your coffee maker and say, look, can you help me figure out how to do this? And then it walks you through how to do it and watches you doing it. It's just amazing. And it also gives the end user some notification. You can set notifications, say, hey, is this going to ChatGPT or not? And so in terms of back end, and in typical Apple format, it seems to be very elegant. Again, I just in my early hacking around with it, I haven't been able to get it to work as well as on the videos, but I rate this as essential. You have a major player. Apple has, I believe it's true, Apple has the most neural chips out there in their devices, compared to other phone makers, and it's very powerful. It's just the beginning of the next level of multimodal integration.
Okay, Lucinda, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this could be essential as well. I think one of the things that I liked was that you can actually choose whether to use ChatGPT or the kind of the baseline background Apple Intelligence. One of the things that I don't like about other types of AI services is where you don't know what their AI router is choosing for you. And if my question I feel is super important, but the AI does not feel it's important enough to spend the money to go into ChatGPT, then that gets to me. So I think this is important. I liked how they integrated the video. It could rank things, it can plan things, it can be in voice mode, etc. It's a very integrated workflow. And I think that's kind of a theme for the articles that we're going to see today.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I was also essential because it's something that advances the platforms quite a bit with voice and also monitoring and advising you what to do. Okay, let's put it as essential then. Essential it is. Let's go next.
Okay, the next one comes from Midjourney, and Midjourney has introduced Patchwork.
So, yes, Lucinda.
Yeah. So
what do you think?
And Luda, you sound a little bit faint. I don't know if you just move a little closer to a mic or whatever.
Okay, I will.
Better. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. So Midjourney has introduced Patchwork, which kind of marks a departure from being simply an image generator to actually being kind of a way to do an orchestrator of collaborative workflows. So this is interesting. You can have like up to 100 people. It's good for different creative types of people, whether you're doing storytelling or world building in a collaborative sense. You can do character development for film, educational. So there are a lot of different use cases across many of the creative industries. So some of the things that might be difficult are I believe it's only on Discord right now. It's still in a research preview mode. It's new, but it could be one of these sleeper applications where now we're really looking at how do you take AI as like the AI little chunk, but fit into different workflows that creative people are working with. So I thought it was interesting to see this. I haven't played around with it much, and I'm not really an image thing, but I did used to be a graphic designer, and this is definitely the sort of workflow that I used to do on an extremely manual basis.
So would you rate it as optional, important?
Important. I would rate it as important. Because the workflows, if AI leader can look at these workflows and think by analogy to how it would work in their organization.
Yeah, I was also important. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that was important, maybe essential. Funny, Lucinda used to be a graphic artist. My undergraduate degree is in sculpture. So, the thing that's amazing to me is just, I'm reminded back to Doug Engelbart's work on the augmented knowledge workshop, where he was trying to take the whole, and he was the person who invented the mouse, and basically, according to Alan Kay, the creative object-oriented programming, he said, look, Doug Engelbart is to the personal computer what Isaac Newton was to physics, right? He was the core thinker underneath, and Engelbart's aim was to get complex, interdependent work from trained individuals and to raise the collective IQ of that group, right? That was the design, pretty lofty design goal. And, this may have the potential to do that. I just think that when you think about how this is going to work, we have a team of people working on these things. Lucinda, back to when you're a graphic artist, can you imagine how quickly and what quality you could get done with a small team that was deep into how to use these tools and had good coordination in terms of accountability and process and timing? It's not like 10% better, right? You can imagine this being 10x better, or maybe more. Is that fair? Listen, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, so I think one of the things is that you now have a collaborative canvas for doing things. But one criticism is that there isn't kind of an overarching project management aspect to this. So yeah, I mean, but maybe you don't want to be too heavy-handed. Again, it kind of needs to be. The management part of it isn't necessarily in this. It's really just about let's get the collaboration done. So I do think, yes, you can definitely up the game of a collaborative team for really complex things where you have a lot of things that have to go together. I don't think there's a project, overlay on it. So
yeah. So, okay, let's go important on this one and proceed. Ankaj.
Okay, the next one that we have comes from Harvard. So Harvard is releasing a massive free AI training data set, which is funded by OpenAI and Microsoft.
Yes, we gave it to Paul, but let me. I'm sorry.
I can take it if you want. Up to you.
Oh, okay, go.
Yeah. Well, as a person who's gotten all his degrees from Harvard, I'm very, very proud about this thing. I think this is amazing. I would rate it as important, maybe essential. The critical thing is this is the first at-scale announcement I've seen that is contributing to the public good in a way that's genuine. And that is the thing for me that's been left really not discussed enough. What's the public library of AI? What's the land-grant college of AI? Like, how are we going to get this kind of capability into the populace and create a common good? Because it all came from a common good. It all came from the internet and research that we all paid for heaven's sakes. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I would say it's important. It's the biggest data set for books. It's all been vetted properly, and just really great to see my alma mater contributing to the public good in this important area.
Yes, and kudos to OpenAI and Microsoft that funded the group Institutional Data Initiative at Harvard that produced that repository of 1 million public domain books. And it's carefully selected, and it's for the use of training LLMs and other AI tools. So the article discusses other sets that were that were done previously, but this is probably the far-reaching. And what they are also saying that Institutional Data Initiative is also working with the Boston Public Library to scan magazines and vet them. So they will announce a big collection of other materials. So I'm also very important on this one. Lucinda.
Yep, I would also agree important. I do think that, as we're learning to work more with LLMs, we're seeing that the curation of data is actually very important, like that in the sense of the quality. And also, is it going to be liability free, which I think is going to be important for a lot of corporations. So I do feel like, and I agree with you entirely, 100%. On like, hooray for these types of public good initiatives where everybody can build on them.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Kevin is noting, this is so important in terms of corporations doing it. But then we have all the non-corporates, and we have the public schools, and we have all that other stuff. The one thing I agree with you, I'm happy that Microsoft and OpenAI did it. At the same time, one criticism I would have of the institution is, look, they should be taking some of that massive, endowment and starting to capitalize some of this stuff in terms of creating other assets like this, whether it's models or I really believe Harvard should be building models, opening them up, going after huge train and dating sets. I mean, look, the institution's got all kinds of dough and unbelievable connections, and it's global, and it should be. So to me, good move. But, if I forget the new president's name anyway, they need to do a lot more, right? Somebody's got to step up and really show some leadership here. Stanford isn't.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's interesting that the article notes what would happen with the Metas and OpenAIs of the world. Would they completely retrain their system, clean up the previous ones? And it sounds like the answer is probably no, but it's an interesting open question here. All right, let's rate it important and proceed, please.
All right.
The next one
Next one,
Akash.
yes, Luda. So the next one comes from Bain and Company, and it provides some insight into GenAI adoption in the enterprise.
Yeah, that's a cool one with lots of data. Lucinda, what did you think about this one?
Yeah, I think this is also important. Could be talked into essential because it's so, really, the entire report is relevant to the AI leader.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things, that the title is "Never Mind the Skeptics." So yes, as we're all getting experience with generative AI, we're running into like, what Ethan Mollick calls the jagged frontier. It works here, but it doesn't work here, and in 6 months it will, But we're starting to understand the challenges better. But still, nonetheless, if you look at the prototypes that people are running, how much investment they're looking at over the top priority next 2 or 3 years, et cetera. If you want to scroll down to the one where they talk about the data curation on Kaj, that'll be good. It's like a whole bunch of little line graphs. People are finding out my data is a mess, and now I need to. That's
here.
One. Yep. Here, data was incompatible, and then the next one too. Company data not ready. They're in the red.
Yeah.
People are really starting to understand that in order to be able to access and leverage all the power of generative AI, that you actually have to clean up your data act. And while digital transformation might have been semi-optional for companies in the past, with these like really powerful forces of business model, product, revenue transformation, et cetera, the data behind that is going to have to be really good. And then also just the companies are kind of blaming themselves as like, we didn't have the people, we didn't have the tools. So that was another thing I got out of it. But
that's true.
Important, possibly essential.
I was essential. I think every leader should actually look at this at least, and it's presented in such a good way that the insights are crisply stated. What did you think, John?
Yeah, absolutely essential. Gary Marcus should read this just for fun. The the look, I was fascinated. First of all, just how quickly this stuff is moving. I look at something like this company data not ready, and I focus on that too, Lucinda, because that's telling me that people are actually starting to apply it, that they're understanding it's a bigger problem than they thought.
Mhm.
And I think you see down the lower right hand side lack of executive support. There's a ton of executive support. Once again, the Gartner hype cycle is a stupid way to think about this thing. It's not what's going on here at all. It's a fundamental transformation. I also was fascinated by, as somebody used to, run marketing at PwC, the format of the report, which I don't happen to like, but I applaud that they are experimenting with. As you scroll through it, it basically gives you little, factoids. I hate this
I did too.
patient, but look, but I think it's fun that I applaud they're trying, right? And because I think one of the things that people aren't focusing enough on is as we get generative AI, we're changing the format of storytelling, right? So, back to the thing we we're just talking about with Midjourney, how people put stories together is going to be different. And we haven't kind of found the TED Talk yet, or the op-ed or the situation comedy in terms of what those good formats are. I think every kind of presentation will feel more like entertainment, and we're discovering that. So I think this is super interesting on two levels.
Yeah, and obviously data is important. Kevin very much agrees because he's also in data, right? So Kevin agrees. And okay, let's mark it essential and proceed.
Next one comes from AWS, and it's a use case where EBSCO Learning is scaling assessment generation for their online learning content.
Yeah, kind of a detailed article in education and how they used it. John, what did you think?
Yeah, I was on the fence between optional and important on this one. I think that the second shoe to drop on this generative AI is going to be when people really understand the impact on organizational learning and the fact that every asset, whether it's an automobile, a washing machine, an airplane, or a process, gee, how do I ship this product that's supported by generative AI, will be able to explain itself. So there's a embedded in the creation of these cognitive assets, these WINS assets, we're also creating the ability to explain itself. That is profound, because most of management, in my opinion, is the process of moving knowledge around to the right place and codifying it in the right way, as well as aligning people around, execution against that, all the way back to the scientific management. So this notion of being able to evaluate the efficacy of that tutoring process, both within organizations and across society, I think is going to be really, really big. So I was on the fence in terms of optional and important for our ad leader.
Yeah, I was important, if not essential, John, because the what they're tackling is the evaluation of the learning, the result of the learning process.
Yeah.
That goes across, right?
Right.
Across industries, in every, like when you're giving tests to the maintenance folks when they're learning procedures and the like. This is applicable. And if Ankash, you scroll down to the results section, it was dramatic, right? And for them, as they implemented it, it says the results a game changer, almost to the end, right here. So I just think we might want to put it as essential case. Lucinda, what do you think?
I actually came out as important, but as I can be talked up into essential. The reason why I thought it was important was because actually I am using and building with Amazon Q Business right now. And so if you scroll up a little bit and look at what were the challenges that they were looking at, I was like, yes, that one was my problem. Yep, that was a problem. Yep, that one worked. That solution worked. So for the AI leader, if they have people that are either working with Q Business or analogous type of AI, then these things, like there are a lot of great little tricks. Is like, yeah, that works. That does work. So that was the reason I liked this. I totally agree with you on the business case itself. But for me, who's like using this, I found this to be a highly useful article.
Okay, let's do an important on this
We
because
can go essential. I'd support essential. Go for it.
okay, all right. But we have way too many essentials today. Everything
Hey,
cannot be essential.
It's Friday.
News happens. News happens.
Okay, essential.
Yes.
Because, I was suggesting essential just because it has very broad business applicability, and it doesn't necessarily needs to be on these tools, right? It can be on other tools. So, but the application is good. All right, next, Ankash, please.
The next one comes from Microsoft. So Microsoft has introduced 5.4, which is their 14 billion parameter state-of-the-art small language model.
Yes, this was me. Yeah, this graph. Look at it performs pretty much similar with the latest Llama and the most advanced LLMs. And it's a small 14 billion parameter model, and it's reasoning. So I feel that it's at least important, if not essential again. So what did you think, Lucinda?
Yeah, I would say it's important because it really does outperform all the smaller models. And we are seeing people trying to decide, like, should I have, a small model and then, model merge it or customize it for my industry? Or do I want to go with a big model and all that? So I view it as important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John?
Important, sure. And then, back to the Bain data, I was surprised by how many organizations are building their own models. Quite impressive. So yes, I'd say.
You mean fine-tuning their own models or building their own models?
Probably fine-tuning.
It said building their own models in the data.
Oh.
By that, what do they mean? Training it?
Yeah,
they're probably training it.
I think they use the word build. So,
Yeah.
But yes, I don't think they're doing fundamental creation. I agree with Kevin here. I'm not sure it'll eliminate the need for generative AI fine tuning, but it will certainly decrease it.
Yeah. Okay. So important it is. Let's go. And apologies to the listeners. These two article links are not in our list on the website because Adam didn't know about them. But you can easily find them.
Yes.
The next one, Ankash.
Just before we get up, this observation by Vivek, I think, is important. Total cost of ownership is going to move us to small language models. That's what we're seeing in the early adopters. That's why a bunch of them are starting to do multimodal models.
And the reasoning capability, John. See, like the O1 Mini, right? It can do the search and it can do other things, right? It's focused on reasoning. That's how the OpenAI did it, right? This one is much broader, so it will actually substitute, and TCO will go down. I agree.
And latency will improve as well.
Yeah.
What's that leakage you say?
Latency will also improve with the small SLMs.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so let's go next.
The next one comes from Anthropic, and it talks about Clio. So it's their new system for privacy preserving insights into real-world AI use.
Yeah, this is having been raised in the Soviet Union. I was like, the big brother is coming. And but they put a lot of guardrails in there. But John, what did you think?
Listen, Luda, Big Brother's here. I mean, ever since.
No, but this is like with coming in force. This is a structured way of being a big brother.
Yeah, look, I'm Lithuanian, Polish, not Irish, which means I have a real, problem with authority. This is in a certain way, Osama bin Laden won. When you look at the amount of surveillance that's already happening in this country and the decrease in due process, it's really pretty scary. Anyway, and now we have an administration that's very interested in due process, I'm sure. Anyway, on this, I gave this an optional to important. I thought the most interesting finding from it was, the basic notion of abstracting away from the actual, user data, hiding PII and abstraction, I think makes a lot of sense. I was most interested and surprised by the variety of different domains and how it varied by country. I think that, as you read this, as a person who also was a marketing executive, it's fascinating to see the flow, very much like the kind of flow you get out of Google in terms of what people are really asking about. And so I think it's going to be very interesting data here from AI leader perspective today. I would make it at the highest important, maybe optional.
Okay, yeah. Lucinda, what did you think? And Ankash, if you scroll to the cases, the summary of what the users are using it for, I think it's in the main, not in the top paper, but in the other one. Yeah. So Lucinda, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is important. And I think probably for marketers, it might be essential because I think understanding what user patterns are, and if you can use an AI to basically do that at scale, that is, very powerful for a marketer and for, anybody doing, running an e-commerce company, et cetera. So yeah, I view it as important generally, just because you can do this. But also for the marketer and people in e-commerce essential.
Yeah, so I also was important on this one. So what they are doing, and it takes courage to step up and say, look, being transparent of what's happening behind the scenes. So Anthropic is essentially taking all the conversations from, not all, but most of the conversations from certain users and pulling the private data out of it and then clusters them for insights in various ways. So it's a very fascinating, very structured approach in putting together the insights about how the LLM is being used and how to improve the privacy and security of the systems. So it's a very good way, and they're transparent about it. So the leaders I think they absolutely have to read through it and understand what is happening behind the scenes. So I think important it is for sure. All right. Concludes our day for today with Ankash, if you can pull up the scorecard.
Yeah, let's go.
I think we don't have any optionals. We have 3 essentials and 4 importance. As Kevin mentioned, we're giving people reads for the weekend. Where was this?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not surprising that on a Friday a lot of people release important stuff, and in addition, Luda, I think it helps our credibility that we don't average these things out, right? Sometimes the news is just the news, baby.
Yeah, the news is just the news.
No, it's not great inflation. Go back to skipping straight. It's not great inflation.
Yeah, but it's not, Kevin, it's not very big articles, so you can manage it, I'm sure. Lucinda, thanks a million for joining. You're always
honored to be part of this august group.
Thank you so very much. And happy Friday, guys.
And don't forget our Monday Learning Lab will be on. I don't know what we have on it, but I'm sure it'll be great. And have a great weekend.
Yes, have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you very much for participating. Cool. Bye.
Bye.